Greetings and welcome to Road to Guitar Mastery, the ongoing show where I attempt to master the guitar by breaking it down into its most fundamental pieces. In today's episode, we are going to create a complete checklist for the technical challenge of our fretting hand and ponder how we can improve these specific areas. To get the most out of this lesson, I recommend already having a decent alternate picking technique so you can isolate your focus on just the fretting hand. I've linked my video, The Challenge of Alternate Picking, in the description if you'd like to freshen up those skills before proceeding with this lesson. Anyways, let's jump on in. So here is our fretting hand. For most of us, we have 4 feasible fretting fingers and our thumb. With this finite limitation, we can establish all the different possible finger combinations available to us. Let's begin with the possibilities for all 4 fingers at once. With this pattern from the chromatic scale, we can either ascend or descend, which brings our navigation possibility count to 2 possibilities. Here are all possibilities for 3 fingers. The top 3 patterns help us to build our major and natural minor scales. Then we have chromatic patterns that could also show up in our blues scales. And finally, our larger stretches that appear in the harmonic minor scale. When you account for ascending and descending, that gives us 14 total possibilities for 3 fingers. Here are our 6 possible finger combinations for 2 fingers. And again, when we account for ascending and descending, that gives us 12 possibilities. Add all this together and we now have our true fretting challenge. We need to learn 28 total patterns in our fretting hand so we can maximize our 4-finger limitation. Now that we know the challenge, let's look at how we can convert these patterns to muscle memory. This first exercise solidifies the first and third notes of our 4-finger pattern by utilizing accents. Accents simply mean we put more weight into the strum to make it louder than the notes around it. If you are alternate picking, this would mean focusing on where the notes are for just the down strums and playing those notes the loudest. The second exercise focuses on the notes of the up strums. After we can successfully isolate the down and up strums, we can try grouping the accents into 3s. In this fashion, the accent returns to the first downbeat after 3 cycles of the 4-note pattern, or after 4 groups of triplets. From here, we can try 4-note groups starting on the first note. The next 3 exercises start the cycle from the 2nd, 3rd, and finally 4th note, respectively. Practicing every accent variation will help to smoothen out these patterns as each finger will know exactly when to execute its unique function. This last 4-finger exercise hammers in the final nail by cycling up and back down the pattern. For the 3-finger patterns, I will demonstrate with one shape, but these patterns work for all 7. This first exercise loops the 3 notes, accenting the first. This note will flip back and forth between a down and up strum if alternate picking. Much like the 4-finger pattern, we can then isolate the down strums and up strums separately. Now we have our 3 possible starting notes for 3-note accent groupings. These last 3-finger exercises ascend and descend while changing the starting note. When it comes to learning the 2-finger patterns, we can practice isolating the down and up strums like before. Then we can move to the 3-note accent groupings to jump back and forth between the down and up strum. Now that we have learned our 28 patterns, we need to learn how to connect them left and right as well as up and down. Here is a layout of our G major scale. We first need to find any 3-finger pattern. For our purposes, this will do just fine. Now we need the pattern directly to the right. Ah yes, this one. And we want to isolate the movement between the 2 patterns. So this means we would practice moving back and forth with just the pinky as quickly and accurately as possible. To get the cleanest sound, imagine hopping from one spot to another, or perhaps teleporting to the new location, because sliding will give you unwanted transition sound. To practice going left, take the same starting pattern and find the next pattern to the left. Now we can practice moving back and forth with just our pointer finger. After this is comfortable, we can practice playing full scales on a single string. The red arrows show where to transition between shapes. The last challenge we will discuss today is moving up and down between different strings. Here are our 2 example shapes we want to move between, and like before, we are going to isolate just the transition point. So we will move back and forth from our pinky to our pointer finger. We will then do the same thing to practice moving down. When this motion is comfortable, we can then combine everything we learned today and practice moving up and down the 3-note per string major scale patterns. Also note that you can avoid alternating between a down and up strum for each string change by doubling each 3-note pattern so each string change happens on a down strum. This worksheet covers every exercise we discussed today, as well as the complete vertical major scale patterns for each string and all the 3-note per string major scale shapes for your practicing pleasure. It's available for free at either my MeWe or Patreon pages linked down below. Learning everything there is to know about the guitar can become overwhelming very quickly, so it's beneficial to have a roadmap in this journey. I hope this episode was helpful, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me hear it down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back with another episode very soon. Take care, everyone.